Let me go to my guests. We are joined, the man himself, looking sharp today, Garland Nixon. How you doing, man? You doing okay? Oh, I can't hear you, girl. I can't hear you.
Oh, there we go.
There you are.
Yeah, I switched my mic, and whenever you switch mics, it automatically mutes you. Yes, great.
No, you're perfectly fine. You're looking sharp today, man.
Thanks. A nice shirt too.
Well, thank you.
Jumping out, man.
I do my best. I do my best. It's hot here, so it's like you're just sitting here sweating bullets, and you're like, Jamal, cut on the air. We don't want you to suffer for us like this. It's like, it's okay. I'm going to suffer. I got to bear the burden. No, man, I'm really glad that you could join me. You are the person that I want to talk to today, especially for this particular topic. We're joined with Garland Nixon. He is a radio host, YouTube host. You do all sorts of events around the country. I see you in one event after the next. And you also have your YouTube channel on the Garland Nixon channel. Definitely check Garland out. He has some damn good interviews on that channel. He has some damn good guests that come on that channel. How you doing, man? You doing okay today?
Great. Busy, as always.
What is it? Busy? Yeah.
As always. I'm an ADD person, so I'm always, when people ask me the description of what I call ADD, I say it's like feeling like you got 100 things to do in 5 minutes to do them. A constant feeling of I got 100 things to do, but I only got 5 minutes to do it. And someone says, "What do you have to do?" I don't know, but I got to do something, and I got to do it quick.
It's like something's always going on.
Exactly.
I want to play this for you. This is Trump. You used to be a former police officer, which is why I am very interested in your take on everything that has been taking place, because I have a very dark point of view on what Donald Trump has been doing in regards to. It's not just the military. A lot of people think that it's the military part. It's not just that. What is it called? The posse.
Posse Comitatus.
Thank you, Posse Comitatus. That act, when DHS was created, that act had already been in existence, meaning there's nothing covering Trump's ability to pull people from either ICE or any organization that is under the Department of Homeland Security. So he has a cacophony of goons that he can grab from these agencies, not just the military. And so I think people need to realize that when the courts are saying, no, you can't put military in this location. Okay, A, that doesn't seem to stop him from doing it.
Right.
But B, he has other agencies and other organizations. I mean, for God's sake, ICE had black op helicopters. They raided the building. They were pulling out Americans, meaning this is not even just immigrants. These are Americans whose rights are also being violated. And the article that I sent you earlier today, I think it was from Bulwark, I was shocked at the level of depravity that's taking place in Chicago right now, where these guys are just making Chicago into a war zone. Donald Trump was asked about whether or not he was going to push through the Insurrection Act, because that seems to be where they are headed on this. Listen to what he has to say. He points this up, which should be chilling to anybody.
Primary guarantee is once this deal happens, if it does happen. Look,
damn it, wrong one. This one. Let's go to this one. Okay, here we are.
Well, I do it if it was necessary. So far, it hasn't been necessary, but we have an Insurrection Act for a reason. If I had to enact it, I'd do that. If people were being killed and courts were holding us up, or governors or mayors were holding us up, sure, I'd do that. I mean, I want to make sure that people aren't killed. We have to make sure that our cities are safe. And
he's making this up. Like, all of this is just him making this up. Even the whole thing with flipping Charlie Kirk's murder into a political cudgel, where it immediately becomes Charlie Kirk is dead. Oh my God, the left killed Charlie Kirk. Now we have to go after Antifa, and we're going to put through some kind of executive order to go after Antifa. And these cities are unsafe. People are dying left and right. So Donald Trump, may need to put through the Insurrection Act if the judges keep striking down my illegal orders, or if the governors don't respond because I'm making this up. That's very chilling to me. Give me your take on that. I mean, because he's trying to argue that, well, the police in these areas aren't doing their job, so I have to put the military in.
A couple of things. Number one, and there's the contradiction, with Trump and his ilk, or with the ruling elite period, that we're always talking about. We've got to increase law enforcement. We got to increase the police, because more money for the police, because the police have to do this or that. And then whenever they, have a whim of cracking down even more, it turns into, okay, the police aren't doing their job. So therefore, I don't know what is he going to go to defund the police next? Is he going to be like, well, no point giving money to the police. Let's defund the police, and then we'll just send the. It sounds like to me that's the direction he's going. The police can't do their job. I guess next Trump's going to be a defund the police guy from the right. But at any rate, there are a couple of things here. One of the big problems, I need to bring this up. One of the big problems with bringing in federal agents, whether it's ICE or Border Patrol or something like that, is this. And that is that these agencies have special powers when it comes to the border. And that has to do with commerce. And the reason I know was because my agency, we had all the police responsibilities on the Chesapeake Bay. Certainly we had on land also, but Chesapeake Bay, which is a major artery and international artery and all of that kind of stuff, drug dealing, the whole 9 yards, major boat trafficking. So one of the issues is we got customs training. Once you get customs training, once you get certified, that means as long as I can make it an argument that someone can leave the country and come back, like if I'm on the bay and I see a boat, if it's a 12-foot runabout, or 16-foot runabout, I can't make an argument that they can go all the way outside of the U.S. and come back because they'd have to go out of the bay and 3 miles offshore. Okay. But if it's, let's say, a 40-foot sailboat, a 40-foot sailboat or a big trawler, I can say they can leave it, which means now I don't need a search warrant or anything. See, the customs, it's about commerce.
You lost me on this. I don't understand. You
okay,
said
I can now search that boat. You lose your constitutional rights. I can now search that boat. You see, once I have customs authority, what that means is I'm not searching for contraband, like, I don't know, fentanyl or something. I'm searching for, let's say you bring a plant or some species that could be an invasive species, or let's say you would bring money in, or you would bring very expensive stuff that you don't declare in customs, right? I'm effectively saying, since you can leave the United States and come back in this boat, you're going through customs.
Oh, I see.
And I can check everything that you have. You see what I'm saying? Okay. Now, if I send ICE or Border Patrol or whoever to Detroit, well, all you got to do is cross the border of Detroit, and you're in 20 minutes. And you're in, really, once you get on whatchamacallit, 5 minutes, you cross the bridge and you're in Canada, right? So once you send the regular police, they've got to have all of your, they've got to respect all your constitutional rights and all that kind of stuff. But Border Patrol now can argue, you can cross the border and come back. I don't have to go through all that warrant stuff. I'm doing a search just like it's a customs search. You see what I'm saying? So now that I'm ICE or Border Patrol, I can say, you're very close to the Canada line. I'm checking for illegal immigrants and anything they may or may have not have brought. So I'll do a customs search. So I don't need a warrant. I don't need any of that stuff. I don't need to give you your rights. I don't need anything. Not for when you go through customs, when you come back from another country, you ain't got rights. You come through customs. You can't say you can't look in my bag without a warrant. They don't need a warrant. Right. And once ICE, Border Patrol, they all have customs certification authority. So what that allows the government to now do is to ignore your constitutional rights and just proclaim now, I'm doing a customs search. I'm not doing a regular search. But while I'm doing this custom search, should I find cocaine or something that you shouldn't have, it's admissible in court. Normally, a search without a warrant or a search without exigent circumstances wouldn't be admissible in court. In a custom search, it is admissible in court because I don't need a warrant. That's the danger, especially when it comes to, now, if it's in Atlanta or something, maybe not. But if it's in any city that's near the border, or theoretically, if it's close to a waterway where I could go to another country, but that's a lot harder because now I got to prove that you have a boat that you could use to get there. But you get my point.
Yeah.
Detroit, anywhere close to the Canadian or Mexican line, then the Constitution's out the window as far as searches.
That's outrageous.
That's the real danger.
I mean, but look at Chicago, for example. These guys have been snatching Americans out of their houses. They have no just cause for any of this stuff. I mean, it's one thing if you say, okay, I've identified an individual there that is an illegal immigrant, however you made that identification, and you go to the door and you try to get the person in that way. Right. Even that's a little dodgy, but okay. That's not what they've been doing. I mean, they've been just snatching even Americans. having them outside, in some cases going after politicians like who've been protesting. And it doesn't seem like any of these rights are being, it seems like these rights are being ignored. Meaning the first, like the Bill of Rights seems to be blown off right now.
Far worse than that. We're going back to the Magna Carta. Remember, a man's home is his castle. Right. Castle doctrine, right? All of these, the rules and laws that, give you privacy in your own home. The police can't search without a warrant or, without exigent circumstances for a warrant, such as they walk by your house and they hear somebody scream, "Help, my God, he's going to kill me." Okay, don't need a warrant. They walk by and they look, and they're during the normal course of their duties, they're walking down the street and they look and your window's open and they see a body laying there. Well, okay, right. Those kinds of things, right. They don't need a warrant. But absent those outstanding issues that are known as exigent circumstances, they need a warrant. But why do they need a warrant? We're going back to the Magna Carta. A man's home is his castle, the castle doctrine, right? That there's a lot of things regarding defense of your home and all. So what you're now saying is that's what basically British common law, which the United States is based on British common law, with the exception of Louisiana, which is based on Napoleonic code. But forget all of that. The important thing being, we're just saying, you know what? Who cares about that British common law? It's not just going against the 4th and 5th Amendments, freedom from, unreasonable search and seizure. Okay, it's not just going against that. It's going against the foundation that was built on, which is English common law, which is the man's house and is his castle. It's the, and that's,
No, please finish.
You can see, I could see over the course of years, starting with the Patriot Act, and then Obama, saying we can arrest people or kill people who are American citizens. And if you're a terrorist, we deem you a terrorist. You no longer have your, constitutional rights. You know what I mean? You could see the deterioration going to get where we're going. It's not like we woke up one day and this happened. And many of us has been screaming, remember Biden? Yes, we've got to put in all of these. And we reported on it at our radio station, these domestic terrorist laws. And we're like, oh, that don't sound good. So, you could just see the deterioration of the very foundations of law coming for many years. And it was inevitable that we were going to get to the point where they're like, yeah, let's just put let's bypass the issue of police. We don't need them. We'll just put government goons on the street and grab anybody we want. Oh, by the way, they'll have on black masks. You can't even see them and know who they are and identify them.
Can't even identify them.
How about this? Some woman, if a police officer's arresting a woman, whatever, and one cop walks up and goes, "Hey, I'm going to squeeze her breast." Boom, squeeze her breast. She looks at him. His name is Officer Nixon. She can file a complaint against Officer Nixon, right? She looks at his face. Okay, that's Officer Nixon. He squeezed my breast. I can file a complaint with the department, and there's procedures and all of that, right? If these goons come up, they're dressed in all black. The only thing's out is their eyes. There's no name tag. I will guarantee you that ICE or Border Patrol or all of them have policies and procedures for people to file a complaint against one of their personnel. But how can you file a complaint if there's no name tag and you can't see his face?
Yeah.
So realistically, these people can come in, 12 of them, beat you up, sexually assault you, eat your food, do everything else, and leave. And it can be obvious that they not only violated the law, but violated their own policies and procedures. But how are you going to file a complaint when you don't know who they are? Because there's 12 guys there and none of them have a name tag and you couldn't see any of their faces. They're effectively anonymous, jackbooted thugs.
So this is the Bulwark. It's the guy was doing an investigation into what was taking place in Chicago. This stuff is outrageous. Like just royally outrageous. September 12th, ICE agents shoot and kill Chicago resident Silverto Villegas Gonzalez in Franklin Park. ICE claimed that Gonzalez was shot after being seriously injured by ICE agent, or seriously injured an ICE agent. Body cam footage showed the same agent immediately after the encounter, describing the injuries as, quote, nothing major. September 30th, some 300 federal agents raided an apartment building in the dead of night. Some repelled from a Black Hawk helicopter. And it's like, why do they have a Black Hawk helicopter, right? Some repelled from a Black Hawk helicopter positioned over the building, ransacked apartments, detained not only children, but several U.S. citizens, including Roderick Johnson, who spoke with Block Club Chicago. Roderick Johnson, who lives in the building and the U.S. citizen, said he heard, quote, people dropping on the roof, unquote, before agents kicked his door in. He was stuffed inside a van with his neighbor for what he felt like several hours until agents told them the building was clear. So they're snatching Americans. Like, this is like you just having sex with your girlfriend, wife, mistress, whatever. A booted thug kicks open the door, snatches you half naked, throws you into a van, and then later comes back and says, all right, all clear. What the hell? Like, that's astonishing. He also, October 4th, CPB agents shoot an unarmed woman. I guess this is Marmar Martinez. They claim that she provoked them by ramming their vehicle with the car. Martinez's lawyer later tells Chicago Sun-Times that there was body cam footage that shows the agent turning left into her vehicle, after which the agent says, quote, do something, bitch, unquote. The agent then gets out the vehicle and shoots Martinez. And if you want to see a picture of this, I don't even know if this was the same instance, but this happened the other day where the agent literally puts the gun out, aiming at a person. Right here, October 7th, mass federal agents caught on camera aiming a weapon at a resident who reportedly doing nothing more than documenting his activities. This act is reported by the Chicago Tribune reporter Laura Rodriguez Presa. And that is terrifying. No badge, can't see his face, aiming a gun at you, ready to end your life. Like, this is what they've been doing. This is lawless. This is completely lawless. There is not something that police that are in the area can do about this. Like, who has jurisdiction in these cities?
Well, in theory, the law enforcement personnel have jurisdiction, the local police has jurisdiction, but if the federal government comes in and says, we got it, we're going to take care of this, there's nothing local policemen can do. You know what I mean? They can't tell the Fed, what are they going to do? Get in a running gun battle with the feds and say you have to leave? They're not going to do it. When I see this stuff, my immediate thought is 4 words: welcome to Tel Aviv. You know what I mean? I'm looking at this. This is what it has looked like in the occupied territories. This is what it looks like. This is what it's like to be a Palestinian, where the police can come in, beat your door down, administratively detain you, not charge you with anything. You have no rights. And to me, it's inevitable. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. It's inevitable that as the United States, openly supports this kind of activity in Israel, that it's just like, and let's not forget that a lot of Israeli police and Israeli organizations have trained police in the United States. So I think what we're looking at is the Israelization, right? The Zionization of the U.S. streets, wherein the people now are viewed as the enemy. Right. Basically, you look at it and say these people are the enemy. And like I said, you saw this coming. You know what I mean? Those of us who heard Joe Biden saying, yes, the MAGA people or, domestic terrorists and all, we're like, yeah, I'm real worried about that kind of language. The government should not be demonizing the people. You can say, I don't agree with these people, I disagree with them, or they're wrong. But when you start pointing to them saying they're domestic terrorists, that leads to a bad place. And of course, Trump gets in, and to me, he ain't doing anything different from Biden. He's just now adding the next inevitable phase, the kinetic phase, where the government goes from talking about its enemies like enemies to treating its so-called enemies like enemies.
Like enemies. What's the next step for this? Because this is 1 year in, and I get the feeling this is a playbook. Meaning, I don't think this is random by any stretch of the imagination. It seems that Donald Trump is trying some kind of putsch attempt, some kind of takeover. And I know some people will be like, whoa, that's hyperbolic. I don't think that's hyperbolic at all. Trump is putting military, or doing his best to put military personnel in one city after the next, all across the United States, in Democratic strongholds and Democratic areas. And the question will be, well, why are you doing that? Like, are you doing that just because you think it's funny to do it? Or are you doing it because you have ulterior motives in the next phase of a particular plan, where you require those troops because you know you're going to get a massive amount of pushback in those particular cities when whatever that plan is revealed is actually revealed? I'm there on this. That's my point of view. I don't think this is random. I don't think this is Donald Trump wakes up on a Tuesday and decides to put military into Chicago or put military into California or put military into other random city. I think this is purposeful. What are your thoughts on it? You think I'm being too hyperbolic on this? Or
No, I'm going to, if you would be so kind, I'm going to share, if you would plop it
please?
up, an article that I covered a month ago. Pentagon planning rapid deployment reaction force to quell civilian dissent, right? Blah, 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 multi-million-dollar plan to create a domestic civil disturbance quick reaction force armed with weapons and riot gear, ready to be deployed instantaneously to quell civil unrest anywhere in the nation. And when that happened, when I saw that, my immediate thoughts, my immediate reaction was this. There's a large discussion about, hey man, we could be on our economy is on, treading on walking on thin ice, that we could have some 2008 style thing or worse, right? The people in the US are like, we don't like this Gaza stuff, man, this is bad. And we're seeing it start, the so-called left or whatever you want to call it. We're seeing the right start to say, hey, you killed Charlie Kirk and things like that. We don't know, but look, in the court of public appearance, the court of public opinion has convicted almost Bibi Netanyahu of like strangling with his bare hands. Right. You know what I mean? Convicted, right? So irregardless of all the information we don't have, the court of public opinion has made a decision. So as the people are like, this Israel thing, we don't like it. And the government's like, who cares? We're going to do this because this is what we do, because Israel is our number one priority. And you, American voters, are our last priority, right? Yeah. What happens is people get more and more unhappy and start saying, well, hey, we will not comply with what you want. And we'll be, there could be actions in the cities. There could be people. Guess what? You need to put your troops there to put those things down, shall we say. So it is my belief that this is all, not just Trump, that this is the ruling elite saying we're getting further and further from what the American people want, and they don't like it. And we're not the kind of ruling elite people that just say, well, I guess we better change our direction we're going and give the people what we want. It is I've said this for years, the biggest fear of the ruling elite is always internal uprisings. That people will, pull out the pitchforks and the the pitchforks and start building guillotines, right? So in my opinion, to sum it all up, it appears to me that there has been an ongoing plan. This is a movement to say, how are we going to prepare the ground so that when people start to rise up against us, we can quickly put that down. And what you need to do, two things. Think about it, coming from law enforcement and knowing how the thought process is, it's always two things. Okay, we've got this big riot, whatever. What does law enforcement always think? We got to find the people that started it. We got to find the riot leaders. We got to grab them, arrest them, and take them away, and then the riot will go away, right? We got to stop them, the brains behind it. That's the way they think. Okay, so you're putting together a rapid reaction force to deal with civil dissent. Meanwhile, you're getting the guys with the black helicopters, the guys, the smaller teams that are going to go out and say, Jamal and Garland are on YouTube all over the place saying, we've got to stand up to the ruling elite. We got to go to their houses, rappel down, grab the leaders and take them away, or whoever. You get my point. So I can see the setup for the big, we got to put down large areas of dissent. And also now you're seeing the smaller things. We got to go up and grab the people who are organizing this rally against Zionism or something, whatever, the war in Ukraine, whatever. So it just appears to me, I don't think that's a conspiracy theory based on what you lose the argument that this is a conspiracy theory when the government starts going to the streets, grabbing people out of their homes and dragging them away in the night with no warrant. That's pretty much like we're there. What do you think?
No, I agree with you. I look, you have my full agreement. Either one or two things. Either this is a playbook, meaning Trump is going through steps in regards to I am taking certain actions that I agreed with in advance, meaning, I need chips on, basically, you need troops on board if you're going to do anything big, right? And I'm going to put these in areas that I think will be the most resistant to it. As you point out, setting up your teams, you're getting the American public familiar with military being on domestic soil, something that is just an anathema to being an American. And you have effectively an entire wing of government, Department of Homeland Security, where you can snatch goons from in order to send those goons all across the United States. Okay, that's terrifying, right? Whether that's we expect something big to come down the pike, meaning an economic crash, some kind of policy that we know the public is not going to accept, whether it's Donald Trump decides, I am now king of America, the cultists and the fascists think that's great, the Democratic areas are going to think it's not great, in which case there's going to be a larger response, in which case you need people on the ground in order to deal with that. Whatever that is, he is obviously, and I'm saying it's not a conspiracy theory, because he is obviously putting troops in various cities across the country and is fighting courts in order to do so. And even if it's not military, he still has a grab bag of goons that he could effectively use to put in various hotspots across the United States. No, I don't think it's a conspiracy theory at all. I think it's because you're stuck with the question of why is he doing this? Obviously, there is not this kind of rioting on the streets. That's not taking place. You have murders that are being committed in other states and other cities that are higher than any of these places that he's putting people in. So it can't just be random. There has to be a rationale for it. Now, you can say, well, Trump is just tweaking the nipples of random Democrats. I don't buy that. I just don't buy the premise. So, no, I agree with you. I think something big is coming down the pike, or they're expecting some level of resistance for whatever Trump is planning on doing. And I don't believe these plans are random. I mean, for God's sake, Stephen Miller is nearly a Nazi. I mean, and if you're getting to some of these other people, Rubio, all of these yes men, he surrounded himself with yes men who are just going to say, okay, Trump, whatever you want to do. When you have a government like that and there's no checks, there's no accountability, there's no political opposition, you effectively have a dear leader. So no,
I'll add this. The thing about Trump too is that, let's face it, he got on the campaign trail and just said whatever people wanted to hear. He's an entertainer. I'm going to stop the wars. I'm going to do this. I'm going to worry about the American first and all that. Oh, it was all lies. It was all lies because it didn't matter what he said. Because once he got in office, he was a puppet. I read somewhere that the Zionist billionaires gave him $500 billion. Trump's
Miriam
New York.
Not Miriam Williamson.
Yeah, well, totally together, these Zionist billionaires, their donations total up to half a trillion dollars. So here's the thing. He's from New York.
Harrison.
He knows what time it is. He knew when he accepted that money that he would do, they gave it to him with the intent, we're giving you that money. When we call you and tell you to do something, you're going to do it. Well, you take the money. If the mafia calls and says, hey, Jamaro, we'd like to give you some money to help your channel. That means that they're going to call you every so often and they're going to say, hey, we got a particular guy we need you to bring on your channel and we need you to take this position or that position. And if you don't do it, they're going to kill you because they're the mafia. You understand that if you can take that money if you want, but you know what's behind it. Same with Trump. He knew what's behind it. Whatever he said on the campaign trail is irrelevant. It was all lies. It was, but that's every, you know what I mean? That's Joe Biden telling us that, oh, yes, we've got to fix Obamacare with the public option and $20 minimum wage and all. That's what the president's job is, to lie like hell and tell you what you want to hear. They know what you want, so they're going to tell you that. That's what's so diabolical about it, that these guys know what you want. They clearly know what you want because they tell you that's what they're going to give you. And then as soon as they get in power, they say to their boss, donors, and masters, what do you want me to do? And whatever it is, they do it. And that's Trump. And the difference in Trump is he doesn't have the sense to know how to nuance this thing and to do like an Obama and smile and say it nicely and say, we're looking out for you. He just rambles on with the true fascism. That is the monster that the ruling elite monster that controls him like a puppet and tells him what to do. He shows the fangs. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because in a way, the good thing about Trump is he don't have enough sense to hide it. He's like, I always put it like this. When you watch the vampire movie and the beautiful female vampire or the handsome male vampire, but just before they get ready to bite somebody, they turn into the truly evil looking demon and they bite the person and they can see him. The difference is Trump never gives you that beautiful vampire that seduces the person in. He's always the evil demon. You can look at him and you can say, that's a damn vampire right there. Look at the fangs. That's Trump.
I'd be a sucker for that female.
That's
vampire.
why, there are a lot of people like Trump is evil, Trump is bad, Trump is this. And I'm like, Trump is the machine. You're looking at the machine. I don't look at Trump and say, and I understand that angers some people, but I don't look at Trump separate from the political situation. And I always say Donald Trump didn't come into American politics. He came out of American politics. He is what American politics creates when it is in its breaking of totalitarian fascist state. Some creep like Trump. If it wasn't Trump, it'd be another one. If he craps out, which I don't think he's going to, personally, I don't think Trump's going to make it mentally, if anything else. He seems like he's falling apart.
He's degrading. Yeah,
yes,
he's degrading.
desperately. At some point, he'll be out the door. And J.D. Vance, he knows how to smile. Mr. Palantir puppet, he knows how to smile. He knows how to say it nicer. He's worse than Trump. Yes. Because he's just as bad or worse when it comes to politics, because he's going to do what Peter Thiel tells him to do, but he's going to say it with a smile, and he's going to sound friendly and like he's doing it for good. For Trump doesn't know how to do that. I'd rather have that evil demon of Trump who shows the fangs first. And I can say that's who he is. Huh?
I always say Vance is a better Trump than Trump. He's more coherent. He explains that stuff much better in a way that's more amenable to media. Whereas Trump is losing it. Like, he doesn't see did you see that speech with the military with Hegseth?
Oh my God.
And Trump gets up there and goes on this rambling 70-something minute speech. And he's saying stuff like, we need to send some of you to the cities. We're going to work this out. We're going to do it. Effectively telling the military, we're going to put you on American soil to go after, ostensibly to kill Americans. Because otherwise, what are you talking about? The military's job is to kill. That's what they're trained for, right? Meaning you're training a guy to take a gun and shoot the enemy. You're going to kill the enemy. That was the entire point of Hegseth's speech. No more dealing with Geneva Convention. No more dealing with this other stuff. You're going to kill the enemy. You're going to lose weight. I'm going to kill the enemy.
Yes.
It's like about
fatties. There was an article recently, and it was talked about, and I think they're starting to prepare. What I think is they're starting to prepare the groundwork for the inevitable. There was an article recently that said something about, some people around Trump say that he's starting to, he's not as sharp as he was, and that sometimes when he'll start talking about subjects and he'll just switch from one to the next to the next. Like when they ask him about Charlie Kirk, hey, what about Charlie Kirk? Yes, he was my friend, and I mean, blah blah, I miss him, whatever. Hey, look, we're building a new ballroom, right? Yeah. Like his brain, he never always had issues with maintaining attention to one thing, but now his brain is just going, boom, let's jump to this, let's jump to that. And I think it's less about, when I listen to Trump, it's less about what he said, because he rambles. And even if Trump said something today, he'll do a 180 tomorrow. So I don't be like, oh no, Trump said this, therefore, no, God knows what the hell he said. Tomorrow he'll be like, yes, Putin's evil and I hate him. The next day, oh my God, he says he's evil. The next day Trump will go, I think we can get a deal with that Putin. He's a nice guy. I always liked him. So you got to ignore it. The content is much, but if you listen to him, like you're saying, if you don't listen so much to the content and you're like, he's rambling all over the place. What the hell is he talking about? I don't know. Apparently he doesn't know. You start to realize. So I think you're going to see more and more articles that start saying, perhaps Trump isn't as sharp as he used to be. So as they slowly prepare us for the ground, because we got to this Biden 2.0. We put a 79-year-old guy in who, just eats Coca-Cola and fries and Big Macs every day. That ain't good for you.
Yeah, I think it was Seymour Hersh wrote that article where he was talking about how he seems out of it. I mean, he looked bad. And it's funny, the first term, Trump didn't seem to be degrading. He seemed to have handled the presidency in the sense of physically better than many other presidents. If you look at Obama's first term and when he ended, Joe Biden obviously degraded like a match, just burning down over the course. Like every minute, Joe Biden was degrading. Stuff was falling off of him like he was some kind of leper. This time around, not so much. I don't know if it's because he's trying to do so much. I don't know if it's the strain. I don't know if it's the constant lying and having to, at some point keep those lies straight. He's not handling this well, not in the way that he did the first time around. But I guess in this time, it's more naked also. I don't know if it was because the whole Trump and Russia stuff was kind of corralling him in some respects. But you're right. The fangs are up. This is not, the female vampire who seduces you and you want to be seduced. And you see the fangs and you think to yourself, okay, you can bite me. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's not that, right? Like some of those vampire flicks, you'd be like, I see the fangs, but I'm okay with being bit. She's hot.
Yeah, exactly. It's like your friend's like, hey, she's a vampire. You're like, yeah, but
I
man,
don't
she
care.
sure looks good in that dress, dude. I mean,
Right.
okay, nobody's perfect. Maybe we can work something out.
Right. Everybody has their downsides, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I can live with this. She just needs a little bit of blood every so often, and we're good. That's not this. This is different. And what's wild to me about it are the cultists and the fascists. And what I mean by that is, if you look at what's taking place in Chicago or where he's trying to send military, and your response is, great job, Trump is going after the terrorists from Antifa. You're a fascist. You're a fascist. You're a cultist.
You know what? The other part of it is there are other people who are, you're a brainwashed, you're dealing with the cult of personality. You know what I mean? So you have a cult of personality people who, and I know people who are Republicans and Democrats. Anything my party or my guy does, things that I have opposed my entire life that I tell everybody I'm against. But once my party or my guy does it, I'm for it. Like the Democrats who loved Liz Cheney.
Yep.
Because she said a few bad words against Trump. Well, I don't like Trump. Why did she hate Trump so bad? Because he wasn't neocon enough for her at the time. But the Democrats were like, oh, Liz Cheney hates Trump? Oh, she's great. She's a true American. They were literally saying, Democrats were literally saying she should run as the VP. Remember that?
Yep.
With Kamala. And I was like, yeah, she probably should, because their ideologies are technically aligned. You know what I mean?
I call those people cultists too, by the way.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't like put them in boxes in this case. I think all of these people are dangerous when they do that. Yeah. Because it means that you care less about the country than you do about your own political ambitions, your own political party. It becomes an issue of power at that point. It's not about,
they don't care what Trump does. Whatever Trump says, it can be things that they have opposed forever. Think about these people. A lot of MAGA people who still are on board with whatever Trump does. Things that they have opposed fundamentally politically. Government overreach, government interference. I'm opposed to, the government being in our business. Okay, Trump's in power. Anything the government does is fine now because I like Trump and he's in power. You know what I mean? It's people. You see that in politics. That's why I refer to these parties as brainwashed cults. Now, the good thing is, I think there are some MAGA people that are waking up saying, hey, I don't like this. Hey, so that's good. People like Trump sometimes, and Biden. But people like these just freaks, fascist lunatics will, in fact, I think, wake up some people who will say, hey, I think this has gone too far.
You think so?
There are some, I've seen, but haven't you seen the video of that lady on, it's a Twitter video, and she's saying, she was a MAGA person saying, I voted for Trump. This is a psyop. He told us there would be no war. He told us and she's going off on exactly what you would expect a person a MAGA person who really believes in what they say, and she goes off on it. And I'm like, that's, there's some people saying, I've been had. And I think that's a good thing.
I see a few of those. What is it? Marjorie Taylor Greene sounds like a lefty these days. Yeah. She's like, they're going after the WIC benefits. I mean, she has been, I'm like, who is a socialist? Like,
but you got to say, some of these people at least are consistent with what they thought before. They're not saying, I was for this, and now that Trump is in, I'll just change. They're like, hey, wait, whoa. Like those of us.
I accept that. Meaning, I can accept somebody who's true MAGA. Because what is in America's best interest, right? That's the entire point. I can accept that. Even if I disagree on some of the stuff, at least it's kind of like a Ron Paul or Rand Paul.
Yes.
You're consistent. I can accept you being consistent, even if I disagree with you. I know that you're going to hit the note each time, which I can predict, and I understand that you're doing that. These other people who, oh yes, I'm anti-war because Trump is anti-war, then Trump gets in, bombs Iran, is murdering people in Venezuela, starts the war in Yemen, and they're like, but Trump is fighting for America and he's fighting the globalists. So, he's playing 20-dimensional chess. It's like, okay, dude. It's like, stop.
Alex Jones, who's talked about George Bush lying us into war and weapons of mass destruction. Alex Jones, and then Trump does exactly the same thing. Yes, Venezuela has weapons of mass destruction. No, I tell you what, we're going to go this time with we'll go with the drug cartel. Yeah, there we go, because they got lots of oil. So he cooks up a lie, an obvious and blatant lie, to steal the war of Venezuela, steal the oil from Venezuela. And Alex Jones, yes, Trump's going after dictator Maduro in Venezuela. And I'm like, the last time you called it out as a lie.
Yep.
Now this time, because your guys, and the exact same scenario, lie the American people into a war so you can steal. This is Trump's George W. Bush moment. And there's Alex Jones doing a 180. Okay, well, I'll support it now. As if there's anybody on the planet who doesn't really know, hey, Venezuela's got a lot of oil. And the last time when Trump went out of office, do you remember that? When he got out, he said, yeah, we should have went to Venezuela. They're close. They got all of this oil. He in the past said we should have stole their oil. Now he comes in and says, we're going to steal their oil, but here's a cockamamie reason. And Alex Jones pretends like he believes it. It's exactly what we're saying about these people who have no foundation, nothing.
Just amazing. Yeah, I didn't realize Alex Jones had flipped like that. Alex Jones, I watched him do, I think Trump was in office. And it was when Trump first got in office, first time around, and bombed Syria. And that was the first time I really watched Alex Jones. Like where I wasn't watching him for jokes and like gay frogs and stuff like this. He came on and he did this like 30-minute monologue that I was impressed. I was sitting there like, whoa, this guy has talent. I don't think he was planned. I don't think he wrote it. Meaning, I think he just kind of off the top of his head did this scathing monologue on Donald Trump attacking Syria, saying, "Are you out of your effing mind? How are you attacking Syria in this case? These people are fighting the ISIS fighters and everything else." And he is like brutal in that. And I'm sitting there like, this is an impressive monologue. And the reason I say he didn't write it is, you know, when you have a stream of consciousness, there are times where you reach kind of a point where you need to leap to another point. And the fact that that point was there means you didn't write that. You just did that off the top of your head. And so the fact that he's immediately flipped on Epstein, flipped on Venezuela, flipped on, and he's like, okay, dude, what the hell are you doing? What the hell are you doing? Be consistent. Thomas Massey, what is that comedian? Dave Smith, Joe Rogan even is like, hey, this is not what I voted for. This is not what I wanted. All of these people at the very least have some level of integrity of like, this is not what we were sold. We were sold a bill of goods. But then you have to ask the question, how do you keep being sold a bill of goods? Why are you believing this guy? But let me ask you this, and just to make this point, this shocked the hell out of me and made me question what the hell is this country? So CNN does a poll. CNN always does polls. Look at this. They asked the people, hey, what do you think of Trump right now? With everything that's going on, the tariff war, the fact that your bills are going up, the fact that the dollar is depreciating, the fact that he's effectively ripping off the treasury with this kind of crypto scam that he's engaged in, where his family is engaged in. He's like, what do you mean? That's my kids. That's not me. It's like, dude, are you serious right now? You're going after Joe Biden for the whole Hunter Biden Burisma stuff, but we're supposed to pretend that your kids are directly in crypto where you're not getting a kickback from this crypto. Meaning all of this stuff is taking place. You have raids on buildings where ICE and military is all around the world. I mean, all around the country. He has ended no wars. He has ended no wars. We're still in Ukraine, bombing Iran, bombing Yemen, failed in Yemen, by the way, meaning we lost that. And now going after Venezuela. Okay, American public, what do you think of Donald Trump?
Trump. You know, you go back to October of 2024, 44% of the American public viewed him favorably. Now, despite everything, look at this, 43%, which is well within the margin of error of that 44%. And here's the thing to keep in mind. This was good enough to get Trump reelected back in 2024. And Donald Trump is basically at the same point here right now, which I think would surprise a lot of folks, especially a lot of folks on the left who very much disagree with a lot of what Donald Trump has done.
But what do you see is underneath that and driving that? Why is he basically the same?
Okay, you know, to quote the esteemed caller, Dennis Green, the former head coach in the National Football League, Donald Trump is who the voters thought he was. What are we talking about here? Well,
48%. Is Donald Trump doing what he promised? 52% says yes. He is doing exactly what we thought, meaning he is exactly who we thought he was. And his polling has effectively stayed put for over a year. Is that really what America wants?
You know, here's the problem when it comes to polling, to be frank. And you know, I guess I'm discrediting the polls. So back when I was at Fox, I used to talk to some people who ran polls and did polls, and this is what they did. When I was at Fox, you had a lot. What I discovered, I'll make it quick, was there are a lot of people in the machine that get paid. You know what I mean? Their job is to get people elected. Their job is to get money moved around, to handle the polls, to do all the things that they need. I found out that, you know, there's a number of politicians out there that have a number. If you want, you know, there are a number of political people in power that if you want their endorsement, they got a number. 25, 50, 100,000, right? So you'll hear so-and-so endorsed Garland Nixon. Well, what you know is I just gave that guy 50 grand because that's his number, right? You learn all of the inside stuff there. And that's pretty routine. You know, you want a pardon, 2 million. That's the number the last I heard.
Talked about that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, and that's the corruption. Okay. So my point is, what I was told about polls is, see who's paying for the poll. This was the guy who was in charge of polls. Somebody comes along, they're paying for polls. Kind of, you learn how to. If I have a polling company and you come to me, Garland, I want to poll on this subject. I'm going to ask you questions, and the questions, in a way, are going to say this. Yes. What do you want this poll to say?
Right.
You know what I mean? It's going to be in them.
But,
you know, I'm not going to come out and say, what do you want this poll to say? You're paying me. Well, you know, the poll is $500,000 for me to do this poll, blah, 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 blah. Depending on what you wanted to say, it could go up to 7, 8, 900,000. If you're asking me to say, for this poll to say something that I know the people don't want, right? It's going to be like, well, it's going to be harder for me to make a poll, and I have to make a whole lot more calls, and I'm going to do this poll over and over and over until I get the right result. So it's going to be a lot more work for me to make a poll to say that everybody under the age of 20 is in favor of Israel or something. You want that poll? I can give it to you, but it's going to cost you a lot. Do you know how many damn calls I'm going to have to make before I get that?
It's like 90% Zionism.
Exactly. So my point is, when I see these polls, I do understand that if you want a poll to say anything, you can get it to say it.
But this is CNN. They hate
it. Which is my point exactly. You know what I mean?
Oh, so you think the number's higher? You think it's more than 52%?
No. I'm saying I don't know what the real number is.
Okay.
I'm saying I don't trust these polls that I see, because depending on what they want them to say, particularly, now that was at Fox, and these were people that do conservative polls, and that's the game. So when you see these polls, it's, I don't know. I suspect, you know what's interesting about it? You notice you really hardly ever see that many polls about Israel or Zionism or Gaza. You know what I mean? Where are all the polls on that?
Well, there are a few, and they have pointed out that the perspective of the United States, I can show you about 5. All of them point out that the perspective of the U.S. is diminished significantly.
Yeah, but you don't see CNN. Go ahead.
CNN hates Trump, though.
Yeah.
And if we're going with the polling thing, the polling was right about the election. They were dead on in regards to Trump maintaining a lead over the course of the election, eventually winning it. They got the wrong scale. And maybe they didn't even get it wrong scale when you think about it at the end result. But in regards to how close it was, electoral college-wise, he killed her. When you got to just the numbers, it was far closer. But the polling was right on that. And look, I'm not disagreeing with you. I agree. If you're looking at Rasmussen always has a bias towards a Republican. If you're looking at some other one, there's always a bias towards the left. It depends on the polling. I guess I'm trying to point out, though, is within context, CNN hates Trump. I guess CNN would have loved for that poll to say that 20% of the public backs Donald Trump.
Unless I'm starting to think about the midterms, and I want to make sure that the Democrats see things are neck and neck, and we got a chance. See, as I move towards the midterms, I want everything to say it's neck and neck, and we got a chance to beat
Oh,
Trump.
I see.
But everybody's got to get out. If you get, if I show Trump polls that say Trump's way ahead, then people will say, well, there's no point in me voting because we can't. If I say show Trump that polls that say, well, Trump's way behind, everybody hates him, then people will say, well, this we I don't necessarily have to vote. I can if I want to, but we're easily going to defeat Trump and his minions. But if I say it's neck and neck and everybody's got to get out there, it's 50-50. You might be the last person that needs to vote.
Your one vote can change all of us. Yeah.
So I think you'll start to see more and more polls that say it's neck and neck as we, think about it. It's almost November. November is going to be the primaries. Everything's going on. They're scared to death in the primaries. They're going to say that Jamarl Thomas, who's running against some Zionists, saying you can't do that. You can't vote for him because he'll lose to the Republicans. You got to keep the same Democrat. Don't change horses in the middle of the stream. We got to do everything we can to beat Trump. So I expect a lot of manipulation. I don't think that Trump is all that popular anymore. I think that I just look at it, what's happening, and all the Charlie Kirk stuff and all the Israel stuff. It's killing him. But maybe that's true, but I don't know.
That's what I was going to say. Let's say that that's true. Let's pretend for the moment that CNN is not hiding.
Yeah.
That CNN actually did the poll and just said, hey, whatever result comes back.
Yeah.
And they're looking at it and they're like, holy shit. 52% of America said this is what we voted for. This is exactly what we thought this guy was. Mm-hmm. And what does that say about the country? Because what's interesting to me about it, you might be right. This may be a foolish poll. Fair enough. Agreed. And usually you have to look at multiple polls to see kind of where they average out. 1,000% agreed. Yeah, that full agreement. What's more interesting to me in this, though, is if this poll is right, what the F does this mean about this country and the people? The idea that people said, we voted for the war to continue. We voted for tariffs to be enacted on everybody, which, by the way, nobody said that was going to take place. We voted for increased prices at the grocery store and higher inflation. We voted for weak job numbers. We voted for all of this stuff. That's what we voted for. That's what we thought we were getting for Trump. That can't be the case. Meaning, when they're answering that, they have to be answering something very specific. They're not I don't think they're calling people who are all political analysts who are following this stuff. They're following people who have probably one or two things in mind that they're thinking of, saying, yeah, this is about what I expected. What does that mean for this country, though?
I think one like as you said, let's discuss it as though this poll is completely valid, because I've said maybe it's not valid, but we got to discuss it as though it's valid. I think one of the things that we have to think about is this. The political sophistication of the American electorate, which I don't rank as really, really high. I think that, one of the interesting things, traveling to poor countries, right? Traveling to countries that are American, that are struggling because of American sanctions and policies, deliberately to hurt them. I think that Americans are not very politically sophisticated. You travel the world. And you go to some of these poor countries and you talk to these people and they know politics and they know the America better to hell than Americans know it. And you come home and Americans are politically ignorant, not stupid. I don't say stupid. I say politically ignorant. They are lied to repeatedly, yet they believe what they're told. They think the Republicans and the Democrats are fighting each other. They're opposing opposition parties that are struggling against each other in a life and death struggle. And I'm like, yeah, that's bull crap there. This is imperialism. So I put on my left shoe and my right shoe. They're both running in the same direction. Right. You know what I mean? Right. So I think part of it is the lack of political sophistication, the lack of knowledge, and the political ignorance of Americans, not due to Americans, not that I'm saying Americans are stupid or ignorant of their own accord, but the level of propaganda from Russiagate to the rest of this bull crap that we get to Larry Ellison and they're buying TikTok. They're doing everything they can to influence our conversation and keep us ignorant. We're propagandized and ignorant. And that's part of what we're seeing in it's frustrating for people like us who try to evaluate politics on a broad intellectual and philosophical scale. And we're just trying to talk to different people from parts of the world and scratching our heads. Well, what do you think it means? We're trying to figure it out, as opposed to the idiots who think they got all the answers. They're not trying to learn anything. They already know all the answers. And when you listen to their answers, you roll your eyes.
Garland,
all you can do.
I have thoroughly enjoyed this conversation.
Yeah, me too.
I really have. And just so the audience will know, every Wednesday, 9:15, Garland is going to be joining. We're going to share on both channels. Yeah, I've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed this. I've missed this.
Always.
I really have. And just for the audience, Garland Nixon. Garland Nixon is a political analyst, radio host, YouTube channel. His channel, Garland Nixon, on YouTube. Also, as I see you in events all the time. I think it was last month or so that you were at an event. No, man, I always appreciate you joining me. Always appreciate the audience loves you to death. And so you have a fantastic rest of your day. By the way, when is your next show? Just so the audience would know.
Geez, I'd have to look at my calendar. I don't even know.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
Know, I'd have to look at my calendar. I'm like, oh, I don't know. I know I'm got to get a haircut in a half an hour, and I barely keep up with anything. Oh, wait a minute, I'm going to be on Danny Haiphong today on his channel at 1:00 with a couple other people. I think maybe.
So what time are you going to be on Danny's?
1 p.m. Eastern time today.
Okay.
Check I forgot who's even on with. I know Andre Martianov is on.
Okay.
So, all right. Yep. Danny Haiphong today at 1.
Garland, you have a fantastic rest of your day, man.
All right. Thanks for inviting me.
Thanks, man. Bye-bye. All right. Garland is fantastic. Garland is